Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Luis Carvalho. I'm the founder and CEO at Aevo Innovate. We are an end-to-end platform for idea and innovation management. Here, we are proud to support some of the world-leading industrial companies in turning ideas into real, tangible results. But today's it isn't about our platform. It is about the change that we are all seeing on the ground. And really happy to introduce two people who are helping lead this conversation at a global level. Uh, Here with me, I got Jeff Winter. He's one of the most respected voices when it comes to industrial transformation. He's the number one thought leader in the world for Industry 4.0, according to One Analytica, and number one manufacturing influencer in the world, according to Manufacturing Digital Magazine, with over 80 million views of his content. Whether we're talking about Industry 4.0, Jeff brings a perspective that goes far beyond theory. His insights are grounded in what actually works. Jeff, thank you for being here and for everything you've done to push this industry
Thanks for
forward.
having me.
And also with me, I got João Richa. He is bringing to us a hands-on view from the world of idea and innovation management. Richa has been with us at Aevo Innovate for the past 7 years and is been working closely with global manufacturing to drive innovation in real-world conditions. João, it's great to have you with us today.
Very happy to be here, Luis. Jeff?
So good. Let's kick off. Jeff, I want to start with you. At first, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us what's been the most exciting or maybe even surprising to you lately in the industrial space.
Sure. So my name is Jeff Winter, and I am the Vice President of Business Strategy with Critical Manufacturing, which is an MES software company that enables Industry 4.0. To answer your question, probably one of the most exciting things I'm seeing out there right now. It's the accelerated advancement of technology and the change that that's causing in the industry overall. I do feel like this is a very exciting time, and those that take advantage of this will thrive and just completely jump ahead of their competition. So it gets me excited.
That's great, Jeff. João, how about you? Tell us a bit more about your role. What has stood out the most when working with factories that are trying to structure innovation, especially involving frontline workers?
Thanks, Luis. Hello, everyone who's watching us right now. Today, I'm Managing Director of Aevo in our European subsidiary, helping our clients in EMEA and all around the world as well to have success with their innovation and ideation programs. And I believe that today, and that the theme of this podcast right now is to talk about how we can engage the frontline employees, the shop floor in this process as well. Because as you're going to see, we have a lot of potential lying in those folks.
This is good, João. So as we can see, the discussion here will be between technology, the digital transformation, but also with a shop floor perspective, with the role of people in it. And Jeff, you often say that companies confuse digital transformation with simple optimization. So from your perspective, what really separates one from the other?
So it's funny you ask this because people ask me this all the time about the difference between optimization and transformation. And it's mostly because of a post that I made that went viral. But I would actually take it one step further because there's a third concept that should be included in the mix: modernization. And while all three are important, confusing them is one of the biggest reasons that I believe companies think that they're winning at digital transformation when they're actually just digitizing the status quo. So here's how I like to break them down. Modernization is all about updating tools. You replace clipboards with tablets, or you move your systems to the cloud. It's often IT led. And if you think about the KPIs there, they might be things like system uptime or response time or cost per license, anything that's kind of like technical performance metrics. The next is optimization. And this is all about refining your processes. You automate your steps, you reduce cycle times, you eliminate waste, you get better at what you already have, which hopefully after it's already been modernized. Now the KPIs here are things like throughput or labor efficiency or overall equipment effectiveness, productivity metrics. And the last is transformation. And this is all about reimagining how the business works. It changes how you create, how you deliver, and how you capture value. The KPIs here look very different. Everything from revenue from new services to customer lifetime value to agility in launching new products, or even kind of reduction in decision latency. Anything that has like a strategic outcome that you're looking at. So here, let's use an example. Let's say you have a factory and it rolls out MES software. If the goal is simply moving from Excel to digital forms, that's modernization. If the goal is shaving 15% off production downtime, that's optimizing. But if the goal is to use real-time visibility and predictive analytics to enable new business models like make to order at scale, now you're talking transformation. The problem is most companies report all three of these as digital transformation. KPMG actually did a study in 2022 showing that 99% of companies reported at least a 1% ROI, or return on investment, from their digital transformation initiatives. That sounds great. 99% had some positive value. But until you realize that they're most likely modernization and optimization efforts, it changes the way you think about it. Because McKinsey in 2016 famously reported that 70% of transformations fail. Boston Consulting Group, Everest Group, and even Couchbase all followed with their own studies, all showing similar failure rates between 68 and 82%. So how can you have these two types of studies exist? One that says transformations fail and one that says they're generating ROI. And it's, I think, because we're using the same words but grading on very different curves. So until we get clear on what we're actually measuring and what we're truly trying to do, we'll keep confusing progress with impact. And the risk is we'll end up proudly modernizing while our competitors are busy transforming.
Great. So let's talk about transformation then. So real transformation. And in that matter, what is the real role of the shop floor in making it happen?
That's a great question. So digital transformation, to start, it absolutely should be enterprise-wide. I mean, every function, finance, sales, marketing, customer service, operations, they all have a role to play. So better visibility, better decision-making, more automation, tighter integration, all of that matters. But if you're a manufacturer, let's not kid ourselves. Operations is where the transformation makes the biggest impact. That's where scale is possible. That's where the data is generated, at least most of it. And that's where the margin is either protected or quietly eroded. Most manufacturers have operations as their largest department by far. It typically holds the biggest budget, the most headcount, and actually has usually the most complexity with it. And yet we still talk about transformation like it's something that happens in IT or in strategy and not on the shop floor. But this is the only department that really allows you to truly scale and be agile at the same time. You want to respond faster to market shifts. You want to launch new products quicker. You want to reduce costs without sacrificing quality. That happens in production. That happens in operations, not in the front office. And yet manufacturing is still often viewed by a lot of companies as a cost center, a necessary function, something that you try and optimize, not transform. But what if production, what if operations wasn't just efficient? but it was strategic? What if the way you made things was your competitive advantage? The shop floor is where the rubber meets the road. It's where all your plans, your tools, and your people kind of collide with reality. And if that part fails, it doesn't really matter how good the rest of your business is. No product, no revenue, period. So the shop floor has a special role in transformation for manufacturing because it's the largest group of the doers. They're the ones making the machines run, quite literally. And if they don't believe in the change, and if they don't see the value, or worse, if they feel like it's being forced on them, they'll resist, sometimes silently, sometimes actively. Either way, they're the ones who can make or break your transformation. You don't scale a strategy unless the people doing the work are part of it. They need to be involved, not just trained, but included. You need to give them context. You need to let them test things. You need to let them experiment, ask for their feedback, make sure that they understand why the change is happening and how it helps them, not just how it helps the company. People rarely resist what they helped create. And when you do that well, you don't just get compliance. You get champions, people who help spot problems early, offer better ways to solve them, and actually push the transformation forward rather than hold it back.
That is a great perspective, Jeff. I love what you said about including the shop floor in this, and not just thinking of them as doers in the process, but also involving, engaging, so that they can really deliver the value. And João, you got a lot of experience with manufacturing teams, with in the industrial sector. In that matter, what makes the difference between innovation that stays just on the PowerPoint in a very beautiful strategy, and for innovation that actually creates value for the company?
Because I have a very clear vision about this, which is implementation. Companies that actually implement innovation, implement transformation, if they strive to implement ideas, are the companies that will actually be transforming their operations instead of just saying that they are. Okay. And right now we see a lot of pitch days, we see a lot of keynotes telling about companies that they innovate, that they transform, but that's just on paper. When you actually see the reality of the company, you will see that people, they have difficulties into explaining their ideas, into approving their ideas, and finally into implementing the ideas. And unfortunately, what we see in the market is that usually the frontline employees, the shop floor employees, are the people that have the most difficulties into doing so, because they have a lot of barriers to face inside of their operations. And I 100% agree with Jeff, not 100%, 110% agree with Jeff when he says that when you talk about a manufacturing company, you're talking about 70, 80% usually of the cost center in manufacturing. So it's not an intelligent way of thinking that you should not include those folks into your innovation process, especially talking about implementing the solutions that they find every day in the shop floor. And I also like Jeff's perspective very much regarding modernization, optimization, and transformation. And I would say that one will take to the other. So first of all, you need to modernize, to then optimize, to then transform. And sometimes I would say to the managers and the leaders that are hearing us right now, sometimes you get ideas regarding modernization. Sometimes you get ideas regarding optimization. Actually, most of the time, the ideas will be regarding those topics. However, once you have one idea very good about transformation, that will probably get you a very good result. So please hear your frontline employees, see what they have to say, and of course, give the contest, like Jeff said, explain them the strategy, and I am absolutely sure that they will have a lot to contribute with your transformation strategy.
It's great, João. And I got a word for that. Usually, when companies are talking about taking it for changing the way people behavior so they can really implement the digital transformation, we're talking about investment in change management, right? So talking about how do we really consider people in the process, not only the technology. And have you seen any patterns where things tend to go off track early on, maybe even before implementation starts?
Yeah, thinking now, something that always come up, especially when you're talking about engaging people from the front line and getting them to move towards this transformation in this change management process, of course, is that when you lack support of your leadership, it's almost impossible to execute this change management process. So without a good leadership support, it's not very possible to start engaging frontline employees into the transformation process and finally supporting the implementation of new ideas and solutions. And of course, when you lack support of your leadership, uh, I think that's something that Jeff said that really got my attention. When people resist uh, some change in the company, it's probably because they didn't participate on the process of creating this change. Okay, so when you have a leader in the company supporting this transformation, supporting this change management process, and engaging everybody to participate in this process as well, usually you get very good results.
Great, Ron. We talked about digital transformation. Jeff gave us a clear definition for that. We talked about the role of people in that process. But I feel that every time we talk about innovation, there's one thing that could not be off the table. That is ROI. I mean, we're doing this for business, for strategic value being created. So, Jeff, I want to start with you on this point. What common mistakes do you see in large companies that invest in technologies but without a clear ROI?
So that's a good question. I would have to say that there's three big mistakes that I see happen. The first is chasing tech and missing a strategy. And this is when companies are rushing to apply technology too quickly without figuring out if it's worth it. It's a classic mistake of buying technology first and asking where to apply it later. Now, you would think everyone would know this, but it happens all the time. In fact, there was a study done by Manufacturing Leadership Council in 2023 that said only about 16% of manufacturing leaders even require a business case or an ROI estimate for digital initiatives. So no wonder many investments fizzle out if there is no even attempted understanding of a payback. And Deloitte, in a 2024 report, actually looked at 47 different key performance indicators to map to digital transformation initiatives, to map them to value. And those using over 80% of those 47 performance indicators, they were actually 22% more likely to have gained value from their investments. So it shows mapping it to value is paying off. The second one I would have to say mistake is it's rough rollouts or just over complexity. I mean, even a good idea fails with poor execution. And common missteps include everything from over customized ERP systems, which balloon costs, botched data migrations, and picking vendors that don't understand manufacturing processes. I mean, companies often fall into then siloed implementation. You have IT running off on its own without involving the shop floor or operations team. And what started as a very good vision and a very good idea end up turning into a bunch of individual projects that all had to justify themselves and miss the bigger picture. The third, I would have to say, is kind of IT hiccups aside, is most failures kind of trace back to the people. Change management is too often an afterthought. And according to Manufacturing Leadership Council, again, 60% of manufacturers have no change management strategy to support their digital plans. I mean, frontline workers resist systems they don't understand, and executives give lip service but won't change incentives or processes to encourage the behavior that they really want. And in fact, MLC, again, Manufacturing Leadership Council, also found that 33% believe their executive management team is not at all prepared to lead and manage digital transformation. And that was up 10% from the 2022 survey that they did. So it's getting worse in terms of what people believe for their leaders. I view it as the takeaway here is too many manufacturers are investing in technology without defining the problem, the payoff, or the people needed to make it work. And if you're not crystal clear on the why, the what won't matter, and the how will just fall apart. So my advice is, before you buy the technology, build the case, define the outcome, involve the people doing the work, and track the impact like it actually matters, because it does.
Great, Jeff. That's start with the why, right? So everything else will probably follow in a better manner if you treat strategy right, if you know where you're going, right? And what truly needs to change within an organization for an Industry 4.0 initiative to succeed?
Well, you'll pick up on a little theme here. The technology isn't the hard part of Industry 4.0. The sensors work, the platforms exist, the AI is ready. What really needs to change? The organization itself, the mindset, the structure, the willingness to rethink how work gets done. I mean, you can't upgrade your factory if you haven't upgraded your thinking. Industry 4.0 isn't just about smart machines. It's about becoming a smarter company. And that means breaking down silos, empowering people at every level, and learning to trust data more than just gut feel, and using that data to make decisions. The number one thing that is needed to change is alignment. Not just cross-functional teamwork, but a shared vision, a shared language, and shared sense of urgency. If your operations teams want standardization, your IT team wants security, and your executive team wants speed, congratulations. You built a tug of war against different departments, not a transformation. Another thing is, I would have to say, is decision rights. You need to get this right. The org chart can't be a permission slip for paralysis. If every data model, every pilot program or improvement idea needs 5 approvals and a committee review, you're not agile. And you're basically, I would almost say, allergic to progress. You're making it harder to make decisions where they need to be made. And the last that you got to get right is the culture. You can't layer Industry 4.0 onto a culture that was built for Industry 3.0 and just expect magic. The fear of failure, we've always done it this way mindset, and the reluctance to share data, all that has to go. It doesn't work in an era of Industry 4.0 where we're trying to do things differently. So here's how I like to frame it. You don't transform a business by changing the tools. You transform it by changing what the tools enable. So if you want Industry 4.0 to work, you need to start with the stuff that doesn't ship in a box. Leadership alignment, cultural readiness, decision-making speed, and trust in your people.
It's a great perspective, Jeff. love it when we're talking about technology, but in the end, we're talking about people, we're talking about leadership, we're talking about alignment. I think that's it. That's where the magic really happens. João, you are often with talking with operations and production leaders, people who are often under pressure, and they need to provide results. Which KPIs actually resonate for them?
Well, Luis, absolutely, this is not a simple question, and a complex question doesn't deserve a simple answer. But I will try to get my best, just at least to put a light in the end of the tunnel here for the guys. So Jeff talked about transforming the company. There are a lot of ways to transform a company. Okay, and in Aevo, we believe that one of those ways that contribute for a transformation like that is throughout an ideation program, is throughout idea management. And when you talk about idea management, basically you checklist everything that Jeff was saying. Okay, idea management alone will not solve the problem, of course, but it will help a lot. So you can solve the leadership problem because here you're engaging leaders into solving problems of the company daily. Okay, you're engaging the frontline employees to participate in the process, and once they participate, they feel part of it. They will better accept all the transformation of the company, and I believe that the best part of the ideation process of idea management is that can give results fast. So for stakeholders like investors, they are more easy and more patient with this process because they're getting results regarding modernization, regarding optimization, and absolutely regarding transformation as well because it contributes a lot. So my answer in the end of the day will be, how can you know that your idea management program it's running well? Because if it's running well, you are absolutely contributing with the transformation of your company, with the transformation, and of course, and also of the culture of your company towards this progress. So when you're talking about a program like that, now it's an easy answer because if you basically follow the implementation rate, for instance, of the ideas that are popping up in your program. And in that way, we can solve that question. Am I really implementing good ideas? Am I implementing ideas that are actually transforming my company? Right. And with that, of course, you need to follow the second KPI that I have a very attention with talking to my clients, which is the financial return of the ideas that are being implemented. Then, to understand if you're having a proper change management process and actually you're engaging people in this ideation process and at the end of the day in this transformation process, you should follow your participation rate. And last but not least, KPI that can answer very well if the leaders of your company are actually engaged in this process is the lead time to evaluate, approve, and implement an idea. So this can give you the answer if your leaders are actually bought in this process. Okay. Uh, so I believe that with those KPIs, you can follow if your company is actually having this change management process successfully, if your company is being transformed, and if your company is getting results from this transformation as well.
Well, João, what you're saying is that you I think in the end we're talking about the culture of innovation, right? If you got
Yes.
a high rate of participation amongst the people in the shop floor, in the company, it's a good indicator if they are implementing a lot of ideas, a lot of innovations. So it's a good indicator that the culture of innovation is happening, and it's probably a good environment to create that digital transformation that a lot of companies are targeting. And finally, in your view, what's the toughest part about scaling innovation programs inside those factors?
Launching a program like this, it's something that here we see at Aevo almost every day. We know how to do it. This is not actually the most difficult part. I believe the toughest part is maintaining the engagement and maintaining the approval, implementation, and the ideas coming at every month in a long run. Because what we're seeing right here in paper looks awesome, looks perfect, but when you go to the basis and the foundation of a company, it's very tough to do. And like Jeff said, implementing the technology, it's not the most difficult part, but engaging people and engaging the company in the long term, I believe it's the most difficult part. So here in Aevo, we help managing programs like this. And I see that when a company have a dedicated team to take care of an ideation process, when a company can decentralize the approval of ideas and when they have resources and right resources to help the implementation of ideas, they have a lot of success. And of course, you really need to align this kind of work with your strategy. So if you're looking for modernization, if you're looking for optimization, it's one thing. But if you're really looking for transformation, you should engage the frontline employees every day and and pull up your sleeves and do this job every day so you can have really good success in the end of the year, in the end of your strategy.
Very good, João. So guys, we're wrapping up. It's been a really insightful conversation with you. Thank you for that. Jeff, once again, thank you for your leadership in this space. I'm really impressed by the work you do. I follow a lot of your content. You make complex things seem simpler, and it's very nice. Congratulations for that. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Sure. One of the things I like to tell a lot of people is that there is no universally agreed upon or accepted definition of Industry 4.0. Some people view it as the era that we're living in. Some people view it as a journey. Some people view it as a destination we're trying to achieve. We can't even all agree on what technologies are included in it or the scope. Is it just production? Is it all operations, the entire value chain, or the entire company? The point is, every company needs to come up with their own definition to figure out how to take advantage of all these technologies out there collectively to uniquely allow their company to transform into something bigger and better than it's been. The technology's there. It's about taking advantage of it the right way. And because of technological progress and the speed at which that's changing and how fast market conditions are changing, failure to react quickly can be catastrophic. So I encourage every company not only needs to innovate more than they've ever done before, they need to innovate faster than they've ever done before.
Great, Jeff. And João, thank you very much for being with us again at Aevo Innovate. Is your on-the-ground view is a great reminder that innovation needs structure, it needs discipline, but it also needs a lot of thinking and linking with people and change management. Any message you would like to leave us with also?
Yes, Luis. I would say everything that Jeff just said. I totally agree with him. And then I'll just add in this mix, include people in the process. I think it's obvious here by our conversation that you should hear what your employees have to say, their ideas, and empower them and give them context to participate in this transformation process. Deloitte has a research that for every dollar you invest in technology, which is something that the companies are very used to do. You should invest too in people. So that makes very clear that you should invest in technology, but you should not look away from the people that it's part of operations, especially if you are a manufacturer. So my message here is very clear. Invest in your people, involve your people in your transformation and innovation process.
That's it, João. I think that's the one of the biggest message we got here. The technology usually works. The challenges lies with the strategies, with alignment with people, with change management. That's great. Thanks again, João and Jeff. Thanks again, everyone who has joined us today. Hope you had a great and insightful webinar. And if you'd like to keep the conversation going on, or learn more, feel free to connect with us. All the contact details will be in the description below this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.